Hello and welcome to another episode of OYL Soul Spark, where we attempt to bring to you electrifying conversations. But wait a sec, today's conversation is ultra electrifying, not because I'm in her studio and her newsroom, but because we have with us today a guest who is so special, so experienced, so acclaimed, and someone who brings courage, clarity, and conviction to everything she touches. Welcome, dear Afrida Rahman Ali.
Thank you, Naviksha. It's such a pleasure seeing you.
All mine. I'm sure we're going to get sneak peeks and we will actually tangibly experience all of that as we start diving into our conversation. And as I had mentioned when I got in touch with you and we made our connection, that my intent here is to keep this completely authentic, filter free, and actually resonate everything that you stand for, you believe in, and you bring to life and light on your faith. So, with your permission, let's dive straight in.
So faith and politics, they're both personal. And it's hard to not mix them up. And it's hard to not have difference of opinion with others. What is your stance when it comes to politics and faith, and how personal are those for you?
So, Naviksha, as a journalist, this is a very important question. Thanks for the question, first of all. I have been trained as a journalist to be a couple of things, but the most important among them is to be unbiased, irreverent, and to a certain extent, and in fact to a very large extent, be the voice of the voiceless, the marginalized, be that watchdog. That term has become abused, and now people say, a lot of journalists have become lapdogs, Vodi media. But since you asked this question, let me begin from the faith question. Somehow, as I grew up in Assam, I was never conscious of my faith. I never identified with my religion as much. If at all, I identified as an Assamese coming from Assam. And somehow, as I went along and I entered my professional world, I came across so many experiences that somehow reduced me to my surname. It did happen. Number of occasions. People would say, oh, you're a Muslim. I mean, until such time, this happens maybe like from about 10 years ago. Until such time in my professional world, I was never conscious of my religion. I never looked at things from a lens of religion or faith. Now, sometimes I feel, oh my God, my surname is a liability here. Like if I have to say question something that is going wrong, I am suddenly conscious that, but as a Muslim girl, how can I question this? It may not be taken nicely. But if I have to question my own faith, then I can go whole hog. So all of these things have started now somehow, and I'm not too proud of it. So politics, coming to the politics question, again, I was trained to be apolitical. Now it's become almost like a farce. So how can you be apolitical? There's no such thing as apolitical. I would always say there is every such thing as apolitical when you're a journalist. You're not supposed to be politically aligned one way or the other. You are entitled to your views, but you're not feel that, you sort of defeat the purpose the moment you become obvious as aligned to one side or the other. Mm-hmm. So that is, insofar as faith and politics are concerned, a lot of times you're walking on eggshells. Right?
So faith has been politicized, and this is to feed certain agendas, and the public obviously is not at the heart and center of this. If we differentiate, right, and if we take an honest, up close and personal look at faith, what is faith, and what are some core faith types do you think that are essential to anchor us through life?
So, this debate, of course, is now so ripe in the sense that there are these online debates about does God exist? And I am willing to debate on the existence of a creator or a God, but I don't want to get into religion. I find religion is something which is absolutely private and personal. In fact, I am not somebody who would really approve of people who wear religion on their sleeves, like, whatever it is, whether it's a hijab or whether it's anything else that just displays which I would do in the privacy of my room. And there can be no display. It'll be such an absurdity, I would say, to kind of display or talk about how I communicate with my God or how I practice my faith. I don't want to go there. But yes, on the debate about the existence of God and all, which, like I said, is so much in vogue now because of a few debates that are going on YouTube, I would like to indulge in those sort of, healthy conversations.
But then faith is also a value system, right? It's your mindset, it's your guiding principles, and they need not be intertwined with religion.
I agree.
And I think that's the slippery slope that certain agendas are choosing to promote now because it serves them.
Yeah, let me put it that way. And I think probably this is the first time I would be saying it to anyone, is that I don't believe in organized religion. I think it's very man-made and I think it's very limiting. Spirituality is beautiful. I mean, when you say, I do have my conversations with God, but those are not religion.
Not give him a gender, a face, a color of skin, a certain garb. All right. So sticking with the track of faith and systems. Another one which I've heard your views and they personally do resonate with me. So the system of marriage. What is your take on that? How much faith do you instill in it? And do you see the younger generation reacting slightly differently or being polarized or being confused by diverse concepts that are so much again in vogue today? So what do you feel about marriage?
So Naviksha, I think you would agree that we are all a product of our experiences, right? In fact, I have this formula about the 4 E's: your education, your exposure, your experience, and your environment. Okay, these 4 E's make you what you are. Strip one element away from you, you'll be a different Naviksha. I'll be a different. So, we are all shaped, we all have come together in a certain way because of all of these factors. So given my education and exposure and environment and experiences, I have come to believe that marriage is an essential institution to have some method in the madness in society, and also because family is the best recourse in my view. There isn't a better model as of now to get there. If you want to get to the point of a family, there isn't a better model to get to having a family other than marriage. I mean, even those who disbelieve in marriage or disillusioned with marriage have come out of a marriage probably. So my understanding is that the safe space that you build for yourself mentally, now that we speak a lot about mental health, leave aside your physical health. Just if you speak about your mental health and your mental well-being, I'm of the firm belief that you need a family setup. So where you go home to. Build a home is what I really believe in. Sure, someone would say, no, I live with my pets. They are my family. Okay. But, I still feel that the human to human connect and relationship cannot be substituted by anything else. You need to build those bonds and have a home you can come back to with a human connect, a home that has human connect.
And you partially read my mind there, not at all surprised. Being the devil's advocate, how critical is that piece of paper when it comes to the institution of marriage or family?
I mean, of course, I get what you're saying, that why would you think that a piece of paper becomes the ultimate, symbol of commitment or something. You can be committed to someone and not be married and live in and all of that. I do understand where you're coming from that way, but somehow the way we are conditioned, maybe this is my conditioning, I do feel that long-term commitment, that sanctity, there is something in marriage that holds you together. In a different world, maybe I'm not exposed to that world, maybe that piece of paper or that ritualistic part of being in a marriage is not important, or irrespective, people stay together. I'm sure there is, but I still see the proportion very less. I still feel even in the most advanced countries, people do take marriage vows and come together, and the certain sanctity that you sign up for, and even at the cost of sounding a little maybe traditionalist there, I think it's important. I like the idea of it.
I guess it lays that foundation for commitment. And as a woman, Afrida, was something you may or may not resonate with, right? But I think so many of us have so many soul sisters, our tribe. And it's not to question our allegiance or our support of them. However, if there is a true call of duty, and you really need to get out of your own comfort zone and take a hard stand, how many soul sisters would we honestly do that for versus 1 or 2 or 3 actual sisters that we have? And we feel that strength of bond and commitment for them, right?
So I think there is such a thing as a blood relation. And, like my children, when I look at them, they are my flesh and blood. Like my siblings, when I look at them, they are my flesh and blood. I cannot say the same about another person, but though we may be very bonded in a friendship, very bonded as humans, but the flesh and blood feeling of family, I would not discount it. Somehow I would not equate it with every other friendship or, your acquaintance or, your good friends, or all of that is fine. But there is something about this, the familial bonds and the affection that grow inside a home, and the sort of team that you build, the unit that you build, like how I feel very secure with the family unit at home. Very secure. Like I said, for my mental well-being, I cannot imagine that there can be any other better system that would have kept me sane. Whatever is the outside world, the external factors happening, not happening in my life, my family is always there. It's always the same 3 or 4 people who would stand by me. In between, I wasn't working actively, and I just felt that for my family, it just doesn't matter whether I'm working, I'm not working, I'm doing well, I'm not doing well at work. For them, I'm just exactly the same person, and that itself is so comforting to have that.
You remind me of an incident that happened in my life as a younger mom. And I had scurried from work to my child's Halloween event at his daycare. And my hair wasn't right. It was frizzy. I was looking as festive as the other moms out there. And that was weighing so heavily on my mind until I shared with another mom. And she said, you know what? All these people and what they think does not matter. Look at that joy and the twinkle in your child's eyes. And all he cares about is
that you showed up.
Moms. Not what you're wearing, what your hair looks like. And truly, that's who family is. They appreciate us and they support us because of who we are and what they mean to them.
It also sometimes feels like as if they're an extension of yourself. I know it might be a politically incorrect thing to say as a parent that never treat your children like your extension, but it does feel like it, sometimes. I feel like it's such a magic that in your image there's another human. Like they say, it's like your heart is walking outside of your body, it's like, I have 2 heartbeats walking outside of me. And that feeling also is quite amazing.
And you created them.
That magical feeling, I would not swap it for anything, not trade it for anything. And I think marriage has brought that happen, made that happen. So I am somebody who am very deeply entrenched into the idea of marriage, and I support it.
All right. So, hey mama, what about woke parenting?
Yeah, that's the next one now.
Yeah.
So when the word woke is very interesting. I mean, I want to be woke. I mean, who would like to be in a slumber? I'm looking at it as a antonym for being in slumber or, not living under a rock. If you're woke, I am imagining the word means you're awakened. To that extent, I want to be woke. But then now I know that the connotation of the word has become such that you're taking things too far, or there's this whole activist mindset to literally everything and all. And I don't know. I feel woke parenting, I don't know what exactly it is. I have my own structure of how one of my principles is raising children has been that forbidden fruit is very attractive, right? Universally for all humans. Children are no different. The more you forbid them, don't do this, don't do that, they're more likely to do it. So I have always allowed them to explore, but then watch them from the sidelines. Like I am the kind of mother who will tell my children, please have your high school romances. Don't miss out on a high school romance. So I'm looked at as a very permissive parent who's like liberal and indulgent parent, if you like. But, I have this faith that my value system has gone to my children, and children emulate parents. They may not listen to what you're saying, but they will certainly do what you are doing. They will emulate your way of functioning. So since I've been very disciplined, say with my workout and the way I wake up and I do certain morning rituals and I have my way of going about my day, I find my daughter has slowly fallen into that pattern. I see that, now she wants to go to the gym. Now she wants. So, you set an example for them. And even in your mindset, everything comes through, right? When you're living together, you become the role model for them, whether you like it or not. So there is no point beyond the point. I would not restrict my children. Rather, I would have so much faith in them that they would maintain their boundaries. Because after all, they are growing up in my image. This is what I would do. And they are miniature me. So I don't think they would really do something very drastically different. I do believe the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So I go by those principles. Kept it easy on myself also and easy on them. But I'm a watchful parent for sure. I'm not like in another world.
Yes, and I think that never ceases to end with parenthood.
Never.
That job obligation stays for life.
Yeah.
No, but everything you said was so meaningful, and I could personally connect with that, because parenting or woke parenting is not about dissolving accountability and saying that you can mess up as many times and not feel responsible and learn nothing, take no accountability, and just keep blowing your chances. It's not about not having respect, but it's the freedom And understanding that along with that freedom, you also have the responsibility. And you are free to make certain mistakes, not life damaging ones, but now you're responsible also to learn from.
Yeah. But yeah, I have forbidden them 5 things.
Yeah.
Alcohol, drugs, motorbikes. Don't ask me why. I have also forbidden cigarettes. And for my daughter, for both, I'm not very comfortable with sleepovers with unknown families. Only with a known circle, it's fine. So other than these 5 things, which for their safety or maybe my mental peace, I don't want them to. They should, when I say no alcohol, no drugs, I want them to know that their mother does not approve of it. Now, to what extent they want to go experiment, explore, please know that, see my face when you are, because these are not things I want you guys to go into. So after having given them this 5, I think 5 is a lot. Beyond that, whatever they are exploring, experimenting, I would believe I'm a confidant for them. So they'll share with me. And again, another thing that I've told my children is, see, I'll tell you not to take that way because you'll fall. There's a ditch. Take this way. But even despite my telling you, if you choose to take that way, and if you fall in there, it's not like I'm going to tell you, I told you so. I don't do that. I will still be there for you. You can come back to me and you can tell me that you asked me not to go there. I went there. I fell. I would appreciate that. You come back to me, tell me you fell and you didn't listen to me. I would be there to support you. So there is no sort of that revenge or scorekeeping syndrome that bola tha na nahi jane ko, suffer now. That is not me at all.
Yeah.
I don't get into that sort of threat, intimidation, blackmail with my own children.
Toxicity.
But parents do that all the time. It surprises me no end. So you'll be grounded. I don't use any threats with my children. I never have. I have not seen them, my daughter's 20, my son is 15. In all these years, I have not seen them doing something really drastic because of me being, permissive in that manner.
Yeah, and something I'm sure you've heard and I hear in my role as a coach, that parents of teens, they are, when they come to a coach, right? Obviously, because they see that their child grapple with certain issues, mental, emotional, etc., discipline, whatever. And in the process of working with that child, now they're on their way to recovery, better practices, better choices, etc. And there are when the parent is actually upset that when I had prescribed or suggested that start organizing and cleaning up your physical space, adopt a healthier lifestyle, wake up early, etc., she wouldn't listen. And now when you tell her she's actually doing her yoga, but is it helping her? Yes? Are you celebrating that? No. So you're going back again and you're finding something else to blame them back on. How do you think this behavior allows them to trust you? So I guess, we do want the best for them, but somewhere I guess we introduce so much blame, toxicity, comparison
for children,
and not letting them feel safe to make mistakes.
And the name calling is very damaging. Gadha hai, he's not good enough, or you'll never succeed like this. Don't use these sentences on your children. It sticks with them. It's so sad when parents say it, because of all people, your own children take your words very seriously. So I never use these kind of any demeaning sort of sentences with them ever. The occasion has not risen, but I would also say that sometimes, my daughter earlier, when in her teens, she had this habit, okay, the room is in a mess. It's a very common problem with teenagers, right? The room is in a mess. So now, like me and my husband, we have a slightly different approach. My husband would be a little admonishing of it. He would be reprimanding her. Why haven't you cleaned up your room? But he had a very direct approach. And I had a very different approach. I would always say, like her teachers would tell me, Anisha is a topper material. So I would say, this doesn't look like the room of a topper material girl. So there's a bit of humor. There's a bit of that I use on her. Like some psychological trick or whatever. I don't know how I picked it up, but that worked. Like I would make her feel that this doesn't look like the room Anisha's room should look like. It looks like somebody else's room. Who's supposed to be a topper material, who your teacher said, this is your room? Yes, I always found a way to train or maybe a little discipline my children.
Because you're showing her the possibility that there's a higher version of you that exists, and I see so clearly. So why are you not becoming it? Because you absolutely can.
For yourself, every which way. It's just one, your standard is here, the other, your standard is here. Why? You maintain that standard in everything that you are. Like even in her, when she was going through her board exams and all, I remember that struggling through maths and all, the parents deal with such things, right? When their children are struggling with a certain subject, So I don't know what came about me. I said, Anisha, you're going to watch a movie with me now. We're going to watch Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. Chalo, kal tumhara exam hai. But she was in 8th grade, not in 10th and all. So I always like to ease it out on her, and she sat and watched the movie with me. And I said, doesn't matter your maths exam. It's not like heavens won't fall. Don't make the subject such a dreaded thing for yourself. This is your 8th standard. We'll see. So somehow, I'm not saying you should use these tactics, but with me it helped. Like I used to take the sting out of things. Uska wo nikal do.
Yeah.
Dar or ye or make it such a thing, and parents add to it. Somehow it just maybe with my kids it worked. It did not work with every child. With her it worked. She did very well finally in her boards.
Because she feels secure with you. She feels supported. She knows there's a safe space. And you've nurtured this feeling of trust and a wholesome relationship that you share. And you're coming from that space, right? And she can trust you and not anticipate this hot and cold behavior that one time our mom is so nice and then she can literally be that witch.
Because as it is, the subject is tough for you. You're already facing that pressure and the added pressure of what will your parents say now. And parents have the tendency to be constantly disapproving, disapproving. So then that trust just breaks, and then then the distance grows, and you can't bridge it. I have known parents who are not able to build that bridge then because the gulf has really grown. I never allowed that. I always wanted that there should be no gap, and there should be this, like you said, that trust and the confidence, and build that rapport early on in their childhood.
So this harsh speak in the context of parents communicating with their kids. Now, is there a more complex nuance to it? And is there a flavor where perhaps the way we talk to our own self is harsh, demeaning, toxic,
and that comes out with
stripped of belief, loaded with self-loath, and somehow very naturally, we only give what we
project
have.
that out.
Exactly. So what is your take on self-talk, especially in negative, destructive
Very
self-talk?
important. Like I appreciate you use that word. I've been little, mindful of it of late as I discovered that what I'm telling myself is the most important thing. And I think you picked it up very well when you said that if that is the sort of self-talk you have and self-loathing you have, it might get projected to your children. So yeah, working on your own self is so critical that way. If you find yourself behaving in a way that's only hurting your children or the environment, I think it's very important to then introspect and see. One of the things I was asked when I went to a therapist was like, "आप अपने आप को क्या बोलते रहते हो?" What is the talk that you give yourself? सब कुछ उसके अंदर है. What are you telling yourself? Some of us are optimists. We say very optimistic things. मैं तो ये कर लूँगी, मैं तो वो कर लूँगी. I'm capable of this. I'm capable of that. Sure enough, you will be propelled in that direction because power of self-talk is huge. But if you, on the contrary, say things like अरे क्या होगा तो कुछ भी नहीं, I can't, होगा नहीं मेरे से, and all that, then that becomes true. So that self-talk is something I have come to realize. And whatever you feed, you feed your thoughts become things, thoughts become actions. Self-talk, the inner dialogue, watch it. It's not possible to keep it absolutely clean, but we all have our mind chatter. As far as possible, at least be aware.
Exactly.
And that's what meditation does, right? When you sit back and you just watch your train of thoughts, just see what you're thinking, train of thought, and then at least be aware that left to itself, this is how your mind works.
I love where you're taking us. It's so soulful and so loaded with just soothing self-care and prioritizing yourself. So what does self-care look like to you, and what are a couple of instruments that you have in your life?
For my self-care, I think once I start taking care of my health and fitness, everything else falls into place. Like if I do my exercises regularly, if I sleep well, I have these 5 things which going into 2026.
Should we just take this?
I'll talk about self-care, Naviksha. I have these 5 things which I literally have told myself that it'll be non-negotiable for me. First is my diet. When I say diet, I feel, of course, eat mindfully and all that we all know, but it's very vague, right? So I believe that your body signals you when you're hungry. So please don't give it food when it's not hungry. And we have this breakfast, lunch, dinner pattern, and I want to break free from that. I want to be very mindful of what I'm eating, but at the same time, I want to be very aware about, the fact that I should not be doing stress eating, recreational eating. We do all of that, right? Stress ho raha hai to kha lo. Sometimes it's just food in front of you to kha lo. It's recreational eating. Your body is not asking for it. And snacking, like I had a huge problem. So now I have decided, okay, my snacking I'm going to replace with like a healthy beverage. So I'm making small corrections there. So that is about my diet. My exercise, I feel long walks have helped me immensely. Brisk walks, long brisk walks. I do that a lot. And number 3 would be my sleep. Non-negotiable, that you must get deep, sound sleep. I can see the difference. I'm calmer as a person. So I would like to sleep at the same time every night, wake up at the same time. That's how you build the pattern. Then, of course, 2 other things are things that I prohibit myself. One is no alcohol and no stress. Ideally, it's very difficult to say no stress, but I would avoid situations that are bound to be stressful. So I don't get into those conversations. I don't engage too much with those people. So these are my 5 things for self-care.
Well, thank you so much. And this was an absolute no stress, high energy, and extremely inspirational interaction. Wish you an amazing 2026 and beyond. Thank you so much, Afrida.